Welcome to the Anchor Your Retirement podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Gullen, sitting in today with my buddy and pal, Tony Shore. Hello there, Tony.
Hello, Barb. How are you?
Well, I mentioned before we got on the air, I have been up since about 3:45 this morning. I had
Oh,
an early flight to come home. I was down in Texas this week meeting with some of our Texas clients and a few prospects and had a 7 a.m. flight home. And considering how hot it's been in Texas this week, I could not get out of there fast enough.
yeah. It's been really, even for Texas, unseasonably
Even for
warm.
Texas, yeah. I mean, it was
Yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning and already 80 degrees.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
going to be cooler today than it was yesterday.
That's nuts. I've never been able to explain myself in that kind of heat. I couldn't exist there. I
No,
couldn't live somewhere where it gets that hot.
I mean, even just sitting in the car with the air conditioner running, and I was not traveling during the peak heat of the day. I mean, you get tired walking from the car to your office.
Yeah. And if you move, you sweat. No matter
Mhm.
what kind of shape you're in, you just move. Oh, covered in sweat now.
You don't have to move to sweat when it's that hot.
Yeah.
And the weatherman was talking about yesterday we got to take advantage of evaporative cooling because the humidity was low. And I'm like,
Oh,
no,
yeah. Yeah, the old excuse. It's a dry
it's a
heat.
dry heat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 115 in Phoenix today, but it's a dry heat, so it's not that bad.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
Yeah. You're being toasted, not poached.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, hey, guess what? We're talking about longevity today, right,
We
Barb?
are because everybody goes by these average life expectancies. But do you know what average means? It means 50% of us live beyond what they're saying the average life expectancy is,
Right.
which is good news when you
Yes.
look at it that
Yep.
way. But it also means that when we are planning for retirement, and more
Mhm.
specifically planning for your money in retirement, if we as planners are planning to the average life expectancy, we've got a 50% chance of screwing that up.
Right, which is why even though the majority of people don't live to age 95 or 100, you plan to age 95 or 100 so
I
people don't,
really do my best to do that,
yeah,
yes,
so they don't outlive their money. Yeah. Depends on
because
everybody's situation's different, but
they are. And for many of you listening, you are federal employees and you have the benefit of that pension, which has the cost of living increase with it, which makes planning for you guys a whole lot simpler than it is for somebody who just has a big amount sitting in a 401k and Social Security. When we're looking at those two, and Social Security is the smaller part of the bucket, it really takes some intentional work to figure out how much you really can use in retirement or how much risk you're comfortable with where we're trying to grow the assets so that you don't outlive your money.
yeah. Yeah, there you go, and that's huge, and that's the main fear. You've told me this before. We've talked about this, Barb, but you always tell me the main fear people have is outliving their money in retirement. And as I always say, you don't want your bank account to hit zero before your blood pressure does, right?
Precisely. But that's why when somebody comes into my office and I see somebody like that invested 100% in the market, we might start looking at some other tools where we could create a personal income stream that will function like a pension for some of my clients. It doesn't work for everybody. It's not suitable for everybody. But for those of you that are listening that don't have a pension, I would encourage you to call our office at 913-553-6222. We'll visit with you. We'll find out everything about you financially, and then we'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and see if you've got an income or a bucket of savings that we could utilize to create that income stream for you so that you don't run out of money in retirement.
Yeah, and that's the key here, and we're talking about longevity, which
Mhm.
leads to longevity in retirement could lead to running out of money in retirement, of course. And again, it's what I always say is the good news, Barb, is we're living longer, but the bad
That
news
means
is
we're
we're
living
living
longer
longer. Yeah.
because both of your parents have exceeded that average life expectancy, haven't they?
Not quite yet. My grandparents did. My
Mhm.
grandfather lived to 101. My aunt lived to
Mhm.
103. My mom and dad are in their 80s, going,
Mhm.
and still doing okay. I mean, my mom, they both have Parkinson's, and they're both in the care facility now. But my dad's only in assisted living. He still gets around. In fact,
Right.
I found out he tried to drive yesterday, so that's a
Oh,
no-no.
boy.
That's a no-no. But, the thing is you do have to people are living longer. More and more people I know are living longer. I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
yeah.
3 of my 4 great-grandmothers made it into their 90s.
Yeah,
One of them made it to, like, 98 or 99,
yeah,
and the other great-grandmother was in her late 80s. She was, like, 87 or 88.
yeah,
Um, my paternal grandfather made it into his 90s. He was 93. Um, and my maternal grandparents both made it past 80.
yeah,
So, you know, my paternal grandmother passed away in her early 70s, but she had a lot of health conditions that
yeah. Yeah,
precluded
chronic
that.
disease like diabetes and cancer, then
Mhm.
it's gonna be much lower, and a lot
Yeah.
of people get diabetes and cancer, but, for the
Oh, but
most part,
I'm in my 50s, so that happened a long time ago.
come on,
That's
you're not a day over 45, Barb.
Well, thank you. It used to be that you said I didn't look a day over 30, so
Yeah.
apparently I've got some work to do. Um, but my point is that the
You noticed that,
technology
huh? Oh,
I did.
yeah.
Our
I can't
medical
win.
technology is better. It's all good, Tony. Remember, this is the punchy version of Barb that's been up since 3:45 AM.
Yes.
Hence the coffee for those of
Yeah,
you
that's
watching us
right.
on YouTube.
That's right. So the role of longevity in retirement is a big one, and it really illustrates the need to work with someone like yourself, a trusted financial advisor, fiduciary who's going to look out for your best interests. And that's why you want to create a pension and look at maximizing Social Security. I imagine that's another way to deal with longevity in
M
retirement if you
m
have Social Security.
Maximizing Social Security and taking a little bit of a pivot here, which can also have a financial impact, is making sure that you are in a living space or a home that's designed to age with you. So, if you're in one of those side to side split homes and, you might make it past the average life expectancy. We're not saying your knees are going to.
Yeah.
And there's pro and con to it because that kind of movement can help your bone strength, help you with quality of life. But, if your intention is to stay in your home, does it make sense to stay in the big house? Should we look at you downsizing? Should we look at you moving into a home where everything's all on one level? Or do you want to do something like what your dad has done and move into some sort of independent living where it can transition to assisted living
Yes.
as the need arises so that you don't have to keep uprooting yourself? When we're talking about longevity and retirement, we end up dealing with a whole sphere of things to talk about. The money obviously is important and is pivotal in all of that because if you're going to sell your house, do you still have a mortgage? How much has it appreciated? Can we get you into another house without a mortgage? Or if you're moving into an independent or an assisted living facility, how long can we make the money that you get from selling your house last to cover the rent and those expenses, and also take into account the increases in rent and the increase in cost when you need more care.
Right.
And now that we've
Exactly.
sufficiently scared everybody listening to this
Yeah.
podcast about getting older,
Yeah.
that's it's a jigsaw puzzle when we're looking at putting these things together for people. And we have clients that are like, nope, we are in the house of our dreams. We're going out feet first with the undertaker. And then 3 years in, they'd had it paid off for a decade. 3 years in, they're like, yeah, we decided to move. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, Sarah and I live in a split level, and we want to get out of this place. We've been here for 25 years, the entire
Um,
time we raised our family. But now that our kids are grown
mhm.
and out of the house, we want to switch. But with interest rates, we're waiting. So
I don't blame you.
hopefully, the
And
Fed
I
will
mean,
lower the rates soon.
I saw somewhere that they're saying there's 100% chance that it's going to come down a quarter of a point in September. I don't
Yeah,
know how
I've
accurate that is.
I've heard that too. That's what the talking heads are saying on the
Right, but the
financial
talking
sites.
heads also said at the beginning of the year that we were gonna have, what, 5 cuts or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah, 5
Um,
interest rate cuts across
yeah,
spread out over the year, we've had none, so,
exactly,
yeah.
and, the other economic data that's coming in is pretty sound, so the Fed might say, "Hmm, we can hold it a little while longer because it
Yeah,
really isn't." Yeah. I mean, to
yeah,
be a fly on the wall in Chairman Powell's office would be
yeah.
quite
Well, you
quite the
have I
feat.
mean, you're good friends with, Chairman Powell, you can just call him up, right?
Oh,
You've
yeah,
got his
we went
cell.
and played golf the other day. No. He flew down to Texas so that I didn't have to commute. No.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, he's speaking somewhere today, and we'll see if he gives some indication. He's speaking in front of some committee or something today, and so they're gonna see if he gives any indication as to what they're gonna do, but it sounds like it. But anyway, I didn't mean to get
Yes.
us off track,
Well,
but,
but
interest
again,
rates
all
do
of those
affect it.
things factor
Yeah.
into, um, what makes the most sense later on in life
Mhm.
and making sure that you don't outlive your money. Um, it is the clients that tell us, "No, we're really not big spenders," and then it's like, "Oh, well, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this," and, it's that's why we take time to get to
Yeah.
know our clients, and that's why we don't do things in just one meeting because I really wanna get to find out how you're wired, what you really wanna do, what you don't wanna do, and how you want, um what you want retirement to look like. For some people, it is, traveling and hitting the road, hitting a cruise ship.
Buying a
Um,
new RV for a few
right,
100,000.
right,
That
right.
has to be factored in.
Yeah, well, and we've had clients that sold their house to buy an RV.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, um, and on the other side, there are some that just want to stay in their local community. They're thrilled to be able to spend hours in their backyard garden or doing some sort of volunteer work
Yep.
locally, and they wanna stay where they know. Obviously, both of those scenarios are very feasible in retirement, and both of those have very different budgets.
Yeah, I would imagine. Very different budget. So everybody's situation is different
Mhm,
too, what they have saved, what their goals are. But
mhm,
you're right. You make a good point, Barb. What your goals are individually for retirement, what you want to
mhm.
accomplish, really affects the plan and how long you need to plan for and what you need to plan for. It
Right,
all goes
and
into the calculation, right?
how much you've saved factor,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the elephant in the room that we're not talking about, and the
Sure.
assumption, I mean, if you come to me and you've got $250,000 and you want us to make that last 30 years, I am not going to be able to give you a whole lot to work with over those 30 years without running the risk of losing, of you running out of money,
Right.
or if we have a down year, not being able to recover from a loss.
Sure.
Very different scenario when somebody comes in with 2.5 million to last 30 years.
Right. Obviously. So it depends. I mean, some people can make it in retirement on less than $1 million saved. Some people cannot. And everybody's situation is different. Again, it goes back to the unique thing, right?
hmm And it depends on how you want to plan for long-term care. If you're
Healthcare
okay,
and long-term
yeah,
care. Yep.
yeah. I mean, if you're okay with qualifying for Medicaid by going through the spend down because you don't have enough money to sustain that care. I saw a lovely couple yesterday. They've been clients for 4 or 5 years, and they were talking about how her mom had passed away recently. It was either her mom or his mom, and mom had $90,000 saved before she went into the nursing home. And the nursing home pretty much took that 90,000 in the first couple of months with what
Oh,
was going on with the care
yeah.
and was projecting everything out. So, it can long-term care can be extremely costly. I
Yeah.
don't have to tell you that.
No.
Um, and memory care is exponentially more
Yeah.
expensive than
Yeah.
just
$12,000 a month here at the local private uh, home
and
facility.
that's not in a major metropolitan area.
No, that's crazy.
So,
Yeah, that's
when
rural.
we're talking to you about longevity and retirement and figuring out what to do with your money, this is why we do what we do. This is why there's nothing about this that, I come across with a sense of humor and smile a lot, laugh a lot, grateful that I get to do this for a living, but we're dealing with some really serious stuff.
Yeah.
And, in fact, I had another client yesterday. Yeah, the client that I saw after the first client, they are relocating to another state to take care of mom.
Mm. Yep.
And, they thought they were in their forever home where they were. And circumstances are such that they are uprooting and moving halfway across the country to take care of mom and take care of uncle. And, again, thankfully, they have been careful with their money. They are debt free. They have pensions in addition to Social Security. So it's a lot easier for them to pick up and move. But then, they're like, we even have to figure out where we're going to be buried now because all of that is changing. And it is not only a joy, but an honor to be able to work with these clients and work with these families as they're transitioning and as life throws them curveballs. We end up being the sounding board for what do you think makes more sense, this or that, to a listening ear when they're like, I never thought it was going to be this way.
Hmm.
And that's why, not only is it important to find a fiduciary, somebody who has a responsibility to put your interest first. I think it's also really important that you find an advisor that you connect with because money and your financial situation is one of the most intimate parts of your life. And you need to be working with somebody that you can trust so that you can be honest and we can help create the best scenario for you with what you've done.
Right. There you go. And so before we go, Barb, let's let our listeners know how they can set up that no charge, no obligation consultation with you and your team there.
Sure, you can always go out to our website, which is anchoryourretirement.com. Our contact form is out there. When you fill that out, we get a notification and we'll reach out to you to schedule that complimentary consultation. Or you can always dial 913 553 62 888-888-2222 and reach out to the appointments and scheduling line. And Amanda or another one of our team members will set you up with either myself or another one of our qualified fiduciaries to sit down and start going over the lay of the land and helping you figure out what a successful retirement looks like for you and how to start putting some of those puzzle pieces together so that we know if you outlive the average life expectancy or if you go sooner than you're expecting, that we've got some contingencies built in to try to cover for that.
Yeah, excellent. Well, great topic. It's so important. Longevity in retirement. How long do you plan for? Barb, great episode.
Thanks,
Thanks
Tony.
for all the great information. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Anchor Your Retirement with our host, Barb Gullen.
We'll see you soon.